In 1993, one of the most revolutionary video games of all times was released, Doom. A first-person shooter that inspired and helped establish the genre, and in a way, could be called a precursor or grandfather to other video game giants like Halo and Call of Duty. It may look like a simple shoot-'em-up game at first, and it certainly is to an extent, but it is worthwhile due to its complex level design and immense sandbox that will let you eviscerate your demonic opponents with a shotgun, a rocket launcher, a minigun, a plasma gun, a Gauss cannon, a chainsaw, and much, much more. The first game's plot is rather straightforward. You play as a marine popularly dubbed as a Doomguy that was reprimanded and sent to Mars for defying orders. Unfortunately, as the UAC performed extensive research in hopes of finding a fountain of energy and teleportation, they inadvertently opened up pathways to hell, and with it came multitudes of demons, cyborgs, and everything in between that overran the base on Phobos, one of Mars' moons, and either killed every human on it or turned them into zombies. So, with not much ammo and no backup, you are backed into a corner and must take on a whole army by yourself. And that is only the easy part. As you play through the games, you face off against a menagerie of enemies like ball-firing cacodemons, the cute floating red meatballs of death, fireball spamming imps that are perfect for getting ammo, and slashing and biting pinkies. But the deeper and deeper you traverse the hellish plains, you encounter Barons of Hell, gold-legged Crimson Titans that take a lot of ammo to take out, Hell Knights, their smaller cousins, and of course the terrifying Cyber Demon that is equipped with a barrage of rockets that will make short work of you if they hit you. Luckily though, the Doomslayer is fast enough to dodge and sidestep them, which is impressive given that RPGs, as a reference, have a muzzle velocity of over 300 meters per second. So in the process of fighting for mankind and facing other bosses like the chilling Spider Mind at the end of Doom 1 or the hellish Icon of Sin at the end of Doom 2, who managed to cause heavy damage to hell itself, the Doomguy gains an impressive reputation and is declared a high priority target that the demons eventually learn to fear and take seriously, calling him several names like the Hellwalker and the Unchained Predator. Eventually, the Doomguy curb stomps the hellish invasion of Earth, saves the survivors, and decides to step into the demon's home turf, Hell, and that is where his power, might, speed, and capabilities go beyond what you imagined. So, without further ado, let's rip and tear our way into the world, lore, and power of the Doomslayer. In the first age, in the first battle, the unending dimension of hell that was unlimited by space or time as stated in the art book, was invaded by none other than the Doomslayer, following Doom 2's ending. After being captured and due to his reputation for slaying demons, he gained the favor of the Night Sentinels after innumerable battles in the hellish plains. The Night Sentinels being a civilization of warriors that called Argent Anur their home, which was essentially Doomguy's new home now. The Doomguy was then eventually trained in their ways, to the point that he was pretty much the best among them and could beat several of them up during training sessions. And so, being granted the status of a crowned Night Sentinel, the Doomslayer defended his realm from demons until he was met with a nefarious titan called the Great One, a mighty, gigantic demon of tremendous power that was superior to all the devils and terrors that came before. In order to help defeat it, the Doomslayer was secretly granted an amplification thanks to the Seraphim and the Divinity Machine, which massively increases power and speed. The Titan wasn't a pushover as the two had a mighty battle, but the Doomslayer eventually came out on top and left its remains for all to see. With this mighty amp, the Doomslayer descended further into hell to defeat the Beast of the Nine Circles and fought for eons upon eons. And if that wasn't enough, his power grew even more due to him feeding off the strength of his fallen foes. And thanks to his efforts, the Doomslayer was eventually granted the Praetor suit, or Praetor suit, a massively durable shell that can withstand a great amount of damage, intense heat, and radiation, which we'll go further into. As time, if you could call it that, progressed through hell, the Doomslayer and his Night Sentinels fought endless hordes until the betrayal of the Hell Priest became apparent and locked them into the hellish plains, which unfortunately left the Doomslayer's comrades with no escape as they all fell one by one. And despite this f***ery, the Doomguy proceeded to rip and tear through the demonic ranks until he was eventually baited into a trap that left him encased in an ancient tomb that was later found by the UAC within Doom 2016. This is a pretty strange anti-feat or low end for the Doomslayer, but yeah, he was somehow trapped under rubble, which honestly sounds more like an outlier given that he can withstand insane amounts of damage, as I'll get further into, but just know that somehow he was baited by that, so yeah. Following the discovery of his sarcophagus, the Doomslayer awakens and finds himself having to clean up the UAC's mess once again, as he is tasked with stopping yet another demonic invasion, in which he had plenty of tools to assist him. His arsenal consists of firearms like the fodder pistol that eventually loses its effectiveness through the later levels, even though it can literally fire 4 megawatt slugs, the super shotgun that eviscerates most demons with one shot and became his baby, and the OPS ballista, an Argent energy-based crossbow which sounds sexy as hell when you charge it up, that it will slice your opponents apart with ease. However, his mightiest weapons are the Unmaker, a demonic-esque energy weapon which is first encountered in Doom 64, and the BFG 9000, which releases a massive green glowing Argent energy shot that boils and blows up nearly everything in its surroundings, and is extremely useful when you're facing off against entire hordes. And the BFG is pretty nasty too, because while it was amplified by a cannon, it was able to blow a hole into the surface of Mars, which Samuel Hayden implored you heavily to not do, but the Doomguy's like, I don't give a But to be honest guys, lore-wise though, and logically speaking, he can simply tear these demons apart with his bare hands. And I would say that, lore-wise, what would make sense is that he's in Berserk power-up the whole time, and you'll see why later on. But honestly, the only reason he uses guns is for the gameplay and because he really likes guns, which, you know, Samuel Hayden actually makes a note of when you first meet him. And I mean, the game developers literally confirmed in an interview that the Doomslayer killed a Titan with his bare hands. Then yeah, he could rip apart a Mancubus or a Marauder or a Tyrant or whatever, like, with ease. Like, he would be in Berserk power-up the whole way through. But you'll see why, like, this makes sense later on. It's also not far-fetched that he could rip apart most demons with his bare hands, given that he could break chains that even the mighty titans couldn't break. And we've seen these guys literally carry entire castles on their backs, which could easily weigh hundreds of tons, so yeah, his physical strength is no joke either. His durability is pretty crazy because the Praetor suit, it is actually a really nasty-ass armor that was forged in Hellfire that during testing by the UAC couldn't be pierced by any of their weapons, which includes 2 Mega Kelvin lasers. For reference, our sun's surface temperature is approximately 6,000 Kelvin, and 2 Mega Kelvins is 2 million Kelvin. And that's not even the best part, because said suit was strong enough to withstand the explosion of Vega's core in Doom 2016, which likely released even more energy due to its 2.4 terawatt power usage. By the way, a terawatt being a trillion watts, which is literally what we use, like, worldwide, every year. On top of that, Argent energy catches, which you can crush with your bare hands and withstand with, like, no repercussions, those have more energy within them than what a nuclear reactor would make in a whole year. So there's insane amounts of energy that you're withstanding, and, you know, the Doomslayer is, like, chilling, right? He doesn't care. So it's fair to say that the Doomslayer could theoretically walk on the sun like it's no big deal. Hell, canonically speaking, the armor has never been pierced, and according to the Testaments, the Praetor suit is outright impenetrable and unyielding. And so, with this harder-than-diamond shell, he faced off against an enhanced cyber demon which he utterly destroys twice, a new spider mastermind that used to be Olivia Pierce, which you finish off with a really elegant BFG shot to the face, and in Doom Eternal, he faces off against a Gladiator, a massively powerful demon who was undefeated in the arena until, of course, he met up with the Doomslayer. In Doom Eternal, in order to save humanity, the Doomslayer is tasked with killing off the Hell Priest and facing off against the Conmaker, the angel matriarch leader of the Makers, which are basically an angel-esque race that is implied to be higher dimensional as they are from Urdak, which is literally stated as being higher dimensional. So the Doomslayer basically has to fight a higher dimensional angel, and it goes pretty well for him because he manages to defeat her and dodge her lightning-based attacks, meaning that you are solidly above the speed of lightning. At the very least though, the Doomslayer should be at least massively hypersonic, given that he can react to the Marauders who can react to your plasma weaponry, which can reach over 100 kilometers per second or nearly Mach 300 speeds. So yeah, he's pretty fast. After defeating her, the Conmaker's life source manages to shake Urdak, and although we don't have the exact size of this realm, it is outright stated to be a higher dimensional plane, and the Doomguy would scale from this because he beat her, of course. It is pretty unquantifiable, but I thought it would be worth to mention at least. At the end of the game, you face off against the Icon of Sin once again, which in its previous, weaker incarnation was already able to destroy untold miles of Hell's surface, and the longer that he remained on Earth, the stronger he would become. In this battle, we get some really good feats for the Doomslayer as he was able to dodge a multitude of his meteors, which given by how fast they reach the player, can be estimated to being massively hypersonic. For instance, the fastest meteors have been documented as being able to reach speeds of up to 72 kilometers per second, or about Mach 210, aka over 200 times the speed of sound. Now this doesn't directly apply to the Icon of Sin's attack potency, but he was stated as being able to conjure up a black hole which threatened to swallow the Earth and the entire universe over time. Now there's no given time frame for this feat, but it was implied to be quite urgent because Samuel Hayden says like 4 or 5 times, hey bro, like, we need to beat this thing before he gets too strong, because the stronger he's here, the stronger he becomes, you know, he is just bitching and bitching. So yeah, I just thought it was funny, but anyways, regardless, the Doomslayer was able to shoot down the Icon of Sin and stab its head with the immortality nullifying properties of the Crucible, and seemingly save the Earth's remaining population and the entire universe along with it. However, his battle was clearly not over as he had to settle his beef with his creator, the Dark Lord, the actual creator of the multiverse who wanted to destroy all of existence itself after taking physical form, due to the Doomslayer destroying his sphere, as that was the only way that he could combat and kill him. Although he had to cripple his defenses with weaponry within the gameplay, the Doomslayer manages to defeat Davoth with his Crucible Hammer, takes hits from him, and kills him, ending his rule once and for all, simply saying that he had no worth for him after stabbing his chest. This is very impressive given that Davoth, the Dark Lord, scales above and created the Father who has infinite power and had dominion across countless dimensions with infinite possibilities. He also created Hell, a realm that is unlimited by time and space itself, transcends it, and is outright stated to be a living entity and timeless. And the crazy thing is that even while being sealed away, Davoth still had enough influence to hold power over Hell and help in its dimension-eating conquest. Oh yeah, and these beings are described as being formless and ageless as well, which further backs up that time and space really hold no meaning in Hell because it is beyond it. Given that the Doomslayer was able to defeat a being who literally created a multiverse that is stated by Vega and the art book to be composed of countless dimensions and universes, this means that the Doomslayer is easily a multiversal level being. Yeah, it might not look like it at first because hey, the dude uses guns, but the Doom Eternal art book further confirms this by saying that all of the Doomslayer's iterations and their battles with Hell had ravaged and threatened to collapse the entire cosmos due to a multiversal implosion. That was just by him existing. Anyways, following the Dark Lord's destruction, all of the demons basically die and the Doomslayer collapses, because he was also created by Davoth, and so the Makers take a hold of his body and put him in a sarcophagus, seemingly putting his rip and tearing mission to an end until he awakens once more. Okay, so some of you might be like, how did this go from being a super soldier to being like a literal god slayer? In God of War, Kratos can be argued to be an universal tier being and beyond because he outright beat up gods like Atlas who had the power to destroy an infinite universe, or Poseidon who could shake it, among many other things in the games. Yet, through gameplay, Kratos can be hurt and even killed by fodder beings that he could realistically one-shot. And just like in Doom, you can be killed by an imp if you don't attack it, but realistically, how is it gonna pierce your armor, right? Like, in the lore, it says that the armor is literally impenetrable, so I'm not saying a no limits fallacy here, but it is implied to be extremely durable that no demon could even do anything to it. Another example, in Halo, the Spartan super soldiers can sprint or use their thruster packs to traverse the battlefield easily, but within some Halo games, such mechanics are outright absent even though, by lore, they do have that equipment. So when gauging these characters and their capabilities, we have to consider a mix between lore and gameplay. If you want to go through solely gameplay, then the Doomslayer may not seem that impressive compared to beings like Goku or Superman on the surface level, but upon uncovering the lore and the statements that are made in the cutscenes in the officially licensed books, then it gives legitimacy to the notion that, hey, the Doomslayer can deadass rip and tear beings who created countless dimensional realms that reside above time and space itself. Maybe he cannot directly destroy a multiverse, but his mere existence destabilized the cosmos, and he could damage someone who could directly manipulate creation on such a level. And for speed, once again, if we take the higher dimensional scaling and say that he is fighting and reacting to someone who literally created something that is above time and space, then you could say that his speed would be, infinite or whatever, right? And when you have something like infinite speed, it basically means that being faster than light doesn't matter. It is literally irrelevant to you when you are on that level. But if you want to go off of solely gameplay, then he's like massively hypersonic. I mean, he dodges lightning and dodges meteors, so, he's still pretty damn fast in that, in that department. Anyways, what do you guys think? Is the Doomslayer as strong as the lore makes him out to be, or is he just an overhyped Chad? It's a tough call, but I'll let you guys decide on what his true gauge would be when you're accounting for both mediums. But personally, I think I'll take the lore over it because, it just makes sense to me. But anyways, I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'm sorry for taking so long on working on this, but I hope it was worth it. Please subscribe if you want to see more content from me, and I'll catch you, thoughties, next time. Peace out.